Hey, okay, so I'm gonna kind of walk through your website. I might also pull up some of your social media just to kind of get an idea of, oh, hey, you just messaged me, um, to get an idea of what you've got going on here, and I'll give you some feedback. So, first thing, this popped up, which is good. Um, I will say one thing that I have learned is that when it comes to email list, and I'm curious to know the answer to this would be how many people are opting into this, like how many people you have on your email list currently. Because I personally have found that one of the best ways to collect emails is if you offer them something in return. So if you're just saying, "Hey, sign up for my email list," you're probably gonna not have a super great return on that. But if you were to have this pop up come up and it say something like, "Hey, download your free welcome guide," or "Download a what to wear guide," or um, something that's going to give them something of value, then they're going to be more likely to give you their information. So just a thought there. Okay. So I love your logo. Very pretty. Um, Ooh, I'm curious what this does. Okay. So I've seen this on a couple websites, the live chat. I'm always wondered how that works. As far as like what happens if they click on this at 2 in the morning. Um, is there a way to like turn it off during certain times of the day? I think this is a really great option because people want like instant answers. Um, I'm just wondering like if I were to click on it and you're not available at that time, how does that affect the client perspective, I guess, would be my question. So anyway, just a thought on that, but I think it's a really neat option. Okay, on your homepage, you have your location. All this information on here is great. Links to your sites, which I'll come back to later. And then like a slideshow. The one thing I'm noticing is that your pictures are kind of all over the place. And I think you said that you shoot a little bit of everything, which is fine. You can do that. But I feel like on your homepage, maybe like choose just 4 images that kind of capture the 4 main things you want to focus on. Because honestly, I'm sitting here watching this because I'm talking while I'm looking at. But if I were a client coming to your website, I would have clicked off of this homepage already because I'm not going to sit here and watch this slideshow. Like the average time people spend on a website is 7 seconds. And if after 7 seconds they've lost interest, they click off and there's no coming back. So in that first 7 seconds, they're not going to sit here and watch a slideshow of your images. They're going to be looking at what information are you giving them up here. So I would narrow this down to just 4 images, or even not even do a slideshow, do like a 4-part collage or like a 3 collage, or even just one big photo, something that is going to not be as confusing. Because I see like a senior picture and then I see this really beautiful landscape photo and I have a wedding ring, and then the next one might be a family. It's kind of all jumbled. So I would kind of maybe pick something to focus on here. Okay. So the about you. Okay, let's see. I'm gonna read through real quick. Okay, so what I would say here is on your about me, I would basically take all of this out because I feel like if I'm clicking on the your photographer, um, I want to know about who you are as a person. Because right now, even though I've read all this, I don't really feel like I still know you yet. And people are wanting to have a connection. Like they want to know you and they want to like you, and then they'll trust you to hire you. So the like, no trust factor. They need to know who you are. They need to like you and have a connection with you, and then they will trust you enough to spend their hard-earned money with you. And this doesn't tell me a whole lot about you. Um, and one of my biggest pet peeves is when photographers talk about how much they love photography. Um, because I don't really care. I mean, honestly, like if you're a photographer, I kind of hope you love photography because that's the career path you've chosen. It would be like going to a restaurant and the chef coming out and telling us all about his, education and his culinary school and how much he loves food, when really all I want to know is more about who you are as a person. So I would say reword or take all this out, talk about who you are as a person. Like if you're a mom, if you are someone who loves to travel, if you are really passionate about reading or whatever it happens to be, like those are the things that your clients are going to connect with, and they're going to be more likely to want to spend time with you as a photographer. So I would definitely fix that. And then add a contact here. I know you have this down here and this little button, but make it like super obvious. Like have a big link or button that says, let's chat or let's grab coffee and chat, contact me here. The more times you put a contact me page on your website or a link on your website, the more likely someone is to actually click on it. Okay, so portfolio. So you've got a ton of things here. So I would be curious. I'm just going to kind of click through some of these like vendors. Okay. I'm curious to know what you really enjoy the most. Like if you had to narrow this down to 4 things, what would those 4 things look like? Or what would they be? Because as a consumer and I come to this, I'm like, whoa, okay, well, I don't know, like, do I fall under portraits? But I kind of want senior, so would I be fashion? Or if I have kids, but what's milestone? Like, what about minis? Like, I just feel like it's too much. And especially when nothing loads on here. And that may be my computer. If you have pictures on here and it's just not showing me, I'm sorry. It did that to me earlier today too for someone else. I don't know. I think you need to narrow down at least into categories like portraits, events. I don't know. I just feel like it's a lot for people to take in. They're like, I don't even know where to go. I don't know where to start. And then they kind of get down this rabbit hole of like, well, what if I want to look at this? And then they're like, oh, but that reminds me, I kind of want to look at this. And then they eventually just get so overwhelmed that they click off. So I would narrow down your portfolio. Fine art gallery. So are these photos that you are selling, or are they just photos that are... I'm kind of confused by this. And I think unless you're selling this artwork, I don't know that you need it on your website. And you go to this and it has a completely different look than your website. If anything, if you want to have a section for like your fine art stuff that people can buy, or even just a showcase, have it open in a separate window. Because I click on this and I feel like I've been taken to a whole different website, and I'm like, well, that's not what I want. And so then I'm going to X out and I'll be like, well, crap, now I don't know how to get back to where I was. Okay. So now I'm going to go back to your website. Hang on one second. So you don't ever want someone to click off of your website. You want to make sure that you're constantly, oops, that's your Facebook. Sorry. You want to keep people on your site. Hang on. Hey, go play. Okay. Sorry, I got my daughter in the background. And your fine art photos are beautiful. But I think that if I'm a client coming here, like this could be a whole separate entity of its own. So I would either have it open in a different window or move it off somewhere else. Okay, investments. Okay, let's look here. So I don't think you need all this here. It's a lot of wording that people probably aren't going to really read. This is something you could add to like a welcome guide or a welcome email if someone inquires with you. Okay, so portrait session fee. So I will say that I'm very confused about some of this. So again, people need to have it as simple as possible. And so when you add in things like what excludes this, and this, I feel like that's kind of, it reminds me of like the medicine commercials where they're like, side effects may include, they ramble off like a million different things. That's what this statement reminds me of. So I would basically just say, if you're saying portrait sessions, define what portrait sessions are. So instead of saying it excludes, I would say portrait sessions, perfect for families, seniors, maternity, headshots, whatever that might include. And then just have the price and what it includes. Don't worry about this. You could say up to 5 people. I just feel like it's kind of hard to understand what exactly I'm getting for that 125. Especially nowadays when everybody expects to get just the digitals. If I were to I would say portrait session or session fee 125. I wouldn't say plus tax. Add that down somewhere else. And then includes up to 5 people, 5 digital images, and then option to purchase additional images and files after your session, whatever, however you want to say that. Yeah, like some of this stuff is all things you can talk about when somebody's ready to book you. And session fee and retainer are 2 kind of different things. So I would choose one wording. Some say, like session fee, retainer, deposit. I know legally they mean different things. I can't remember what's what necessarily. One of them is refundable, one's not. So you might look into that and see which one's which. Second photographers available for any type of shoot at any rate for. Okay, so if I'm reading something, thinking, well, unless I'm getting married, why would I need a second photographer? That seems a little strange. Like, do you ever have anybody ask for 2 photographers on a shoot that's not a wedding? I'm curious about that. Okay, let's look at fashion. Okay, so that one's a little bit more easy to understand. And this up here, I would not make this the first thing people see. My reason being that when I'm clicking on investment, it's because I want to see a price. Like the rest of this is all extra to me. I'm just going to scroll right past it until I see a number, and then I'm going to stop. Because once I see a number, then I know, okay, that's what I'm looking for. Nothing else matters. Again, as simple as possible. I would put this down below. Or maybe, if you get a lot of these people coming to you, half off is a lot. And I feel like, do you have them, like, how do you verify this? Because I could easily call you and say, hey, I saw that you do half off for military personnel. Well, my, so-and-so's military, whatever. Do you have them like present something to validate that? I don't like to think that people are lying about it, but you never know. Half off is a lot. That's a pretty big, especially then they get 25% off any of the packages. And the packages too. So where are the packages coming into play? Because when I think packages, I think that means that I'm going to be purchasing products after my session. So this to me tells me $250 shouldn't include anything other than the photo shoot. But the fact that you're giving away 10 digitals, well, then what packages are you offering? So I think your pricing needs to be a little more concise, a little more clarified a little more, because it's all a little bit confusing. Like then you say all packages require 25% retainer fee. Okay, well, but you only gave me one option here. So what packages are you talking about? I don't know. It just still feels a little bit awkward. Okay, so birth and newborn fee, again, kind of the same thing. Hang on one second. Okay, then go in your room, baby. Use your stool. Here. Mommy's talking. Go. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay, so payment options. Again, this just kind of, I don't know. I feel like it's so in my face because everything's dark and this is like right in my face. Let's see. Should you pay in full? this to me could all be on the same page as your pricing. I don't think it needs to be a separate tab. I think when you go to portraits, the payment information and how you accept payment could all be right in here. Because I see you have like more here, and it's taking up too much valuable space. Like honestly, this space right here is like prime real estate. You want to put your most important things here because you're leading your clients from here down the line. What do you want them to know? Like they need to know who you are, what you do, how much you cost. That's it. That's all they want to know. Anything else is going to be too much information. It's going to overwhelm them and they're going to click away. So having this more tab, I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so much there. Like this is all, I guarantee you 90% of the people that come to your site are looking at this and going, nope, not interested. So when you have discounts and specials and offers, those are things that need to go online on social media, or you can have this page on your website, but have it like a hidden page so that the only way people get to it is if they click on something you post on social media or you send out an email or something like that. Or maybe, you have a link to it on a different page, like on your homepage whenever you're running specials, things like that. I feel like this is a lot of information for people to kind of go through. And hang on, I wanted to get to your blog in a minute. Let's look at something else. I was going to look at contact. Okay, so here's the other thing. Your contact page is buried down in here, which I don't know if you're getting many inquiries from your website, but if you're not, I guarantee you 100% that's why. Your contact page link needs to be like right front and center up here. You want it to be one of the very first things. It should pretty much go your photographer, portfolio, investment, contact me, done. That's it. Anything else is extra. Anything else can be linked somewhere else. And then that contact me button needs to be on every single page. So it needs to be on the about me page. It needs to have a link to it on every portfolio page. On your investment pages, you need to have a link to it. You need to have that everywhere. Okay, frequently asked questions. Yeah, that's too much. This is all, to me, stuff that goes in a welcome email. And I'll show you mine in a second. Policies. Okay, so what I would suggest here, so I'll show you one of mine. Let's do this. Well, that's not a good one probably. Let's do the boudoir one. So I have like a welcome guide that anytime someone inquires with me, this is the link that they get. And this has all the information that people are wanting to know. So basically on my website, I give them that whole thing of here's who I am, what I do, how much I offer, and how you get a hold of me. Done. That's it. And once they have looked at that through those 4 things and realized I want more information, and I have my pricing on there and all that kind of stuff, but once they see kind of like, hey, I want to know more, and they contact me and they say, hey, I'm interested in a boudoir session, this is what I send them, along with a little welcome email template that I already have typed up. It's like, hey, I'm so excited to start planning your boudoir session with you. I know that it can be a little overwhelming. It's not, whatever you want to say. And then they link to this. And in here, I have everything they want to know. I have another little introduction about talking about self-image and why women should do this photo shoot. I have a whole thing about the experience, what they can expect coming into the studio, about hair and makeup, wardrobe, posing, retouching. And then that's where my frequently asked questions are. And that's where I go over the investment. Step 1, step 2, step 3, which this is all changing tonight, by the way. I'm not doing session fees anymore. That's a whole other thing. I go through my collections, 2, 3, 4. I go over about after your session, what to expect. I go over things that past clients have said, testimonials. Testimonials are huge. And then that gives them all that information that you're trying to cram into a website, which is it's too much for people. They just want simple. all of that stuff, the testimonials, the frequently asked questions, the policies, the payment options, the investment, again, can all be combined into that welcome guide. So when they come to your website, they're just getting kind of the first layer of information. That first layer of, is this somebody I want to work with? A, do I like her work? B, do I like her? C, is she in my price range? And if you check off all three of those boxes, they contact you, and then you go to the next level of your relationship. It's kind of like dating. Like, your website is that first date. You're kind of looking to see, like, are we compatible? And then when they contact you, you're now like in a relationship with them, and you're conversing back and forth, and you're giving them a little more information about who you are and what you do and what they can expect. And then you build that relationship, and then if they're ready to commit, then they book a session with you. So I think you need to kind of scale back your website to be a little bit more simple, and it's not so many terms. So, okay, blog. We were talking about the blog, and you mentioned that you blog your sessions. One thing I have found, and this kind of goes back to the first thing I said about like your pop-up thing, is people want information, and they're more inclined to visit your site and come back to your site if you're giving them something. So, for example, I'll pull up my wedding blog. Okay. Let's see. So, I know there's up here, resources. Free resources. So on mine, I don't even call it a blog. I call it resources. So basically, hang on. Yes, baby? Yes, go. In a minute. In the sink.
What?
In the bathroom sink. Again, I apologize. Okay, so I have links to blogs here that are information based. So, like if someone clicks on creative engagement sessions, it takes them to a blog that helps them decide like how to create a really special. I'll go check in the playroom. Like how to create really cool, unique engagement photos. And I'm using images of my own work, but I'm not advertising myself. I'm not saying, hey, check out this really amazing session I did. I'm giving them information. I'm telling them no matter who you work with, these are tips you can use. I have ones about like the best bridal boutiques in DFW, 5 questions to ask your wedding photographer, tips for choosing your perfect wedding flowers, tips for choosing your perfect venue.
I can't find it.
I'm on the phone. You need to go. Look in your room. And so on my blog, I very rarely actually post sessions that I've done because I don't think people really care. And even if they do, it's only the people that are in that session. They may care for a moment and then they're done. So really it's more beneficial if you blog about things that are going to help your clients. And that's where that frequently asked questions list, create blog posts off of these. So let's see. And a lot of this talks about like stuff that would go into your contract. Like, can you get a refund? Can I get a refund here? Can I get a replacement? Those are all things that I don't think necessarily need to go here. Okay, so you could do a whole blog post on this question right here. Like, do you give out the original unedited files?
What is that?
It's just my computer, baby. Go play.
Where's that still come from?
You could do a whole article about like the value of printing products, what to wear for your family session. There's so many things you could write blogs about that I think are going to help, that you can share on social media. And you mentioned in one of your messages too about not having like work to show. And part of what you can do there is you can, instead of sharing your work, you can share your work, like old work, reshare it by also giving out like informational blogs. So you talk about like, hey, how can you best prepare for your photo shoot? Here's a blog post. And in that blog, you use just a couple photos from sessions you've done. So I think that could really help you a lot. And so I think that's the direction you need to go with your blog, is more information, less I mean, you can still do your sessions, but I think you need to throw in some informational ones too. And I think if you're not, like, the kind of the rule of thumb I go with is if you're not going to blog consistently and you're not going to share those blogs consistently, then don't blog at all. It's almost better to not do it than to do it halfway, you know?
I just
Just a
want
second.
my whistle.
Okay, I'll come help you in a minute, okay? Okay. And then let's go look really quickly at your social media and then we'll be done here. So Instagram. Okay. So I'm going to click on this. And I don't see a caption. And maybe it doesn't show up here. But you need to be captioning everything. And hashtagging. That's a big thing. You need to hashtag. Let's see here. Okay. So you wrote something here. I think every time you post, it needs to have a caption. It needs to have a call to action. It needs to have something that's getting people to see you. So if I go look at mine, okay, so for example, this one, like this was a boudoir one. So it was just a quote. Loving yourself is vanity, it is sanity. Okay, and then I have these hashtags here in the comments that help people find my blog post. The one from today, talking about like apps that I love to use. And then my call to action is, what did you think? Comment below with any app you would add or take away from the list. And then I have hashtags here. And I use an app called Tagomatic, Tago, and then Matic, Matic. And it's an app on your phone, and you open it up and you type in like a hashtag. For example, if you're posting, trying to get back to your Instagram page. Hang on. So that the one that had a family one here, okay? So you could write up something about like, and I would even say anything about this family. I would just talk about something about family, like, the importance of family. And I feel like family is, over the holidays, I'm reminded about how important it is that we spend time with our loved ones and blah, blah, blah. Like, you don't have to be selling yourself every time you post. People are going to follow you because of the content you share, and your beautiful photos are just a bonus. But the content you share is going to be really valuable because that's where you get to share who you are, your values, your beliefs, why you do what you do. But then you go into that, once you post this to Instagram, you go into Tagomatic and you type in like family portraits or family or values, and it's going to bring up a list of related hashtags, and you just click the ones you want, and then you copy them, and then you paste them into Instagram. So super easy. And then Facebook, I'm kind of assuming if you do it like me, you post the same ones to Instagram, to Facebook that you do to Instagram. Okay, sorry, I was looking at different things. Yeah, I think, again, it's just kind of the same thing as Instagram. Just make sure that you are sharing content that's valuable to your readers. I mean, that one of the things I see the most with photographers is I feel like photographers are all about themselves, not meaning to be, but a lot of times they're like, look at my work, look at me, book me, hire me, choose me, blah, blah, blah. It's all about me. When really, in the end, we're doing a service to our client, so it needs to be about the client. Everything we do needs to have the client in mind. So when you post to social media, think, okay, well, what types of posts do I stop on when I'm scrolling through Instagram? It's not the ones where somebody says, check out this really awesome session that I did this weekend. The ones I stop on are ones where they're telling a story, where they're giving me something of value, where they're sharing information. Those are the things that catch attention. And I guarantee you, the pictures you have of your travel are beautiful. The black and whites, those are stunning. I feel like that's your strength currently, are those photos. And so I would definitely be sharing some of those with some really interesting captions along with them. So Okay, I think I've rambled on enough. I hope that helps. If you have any questions, let me know, and I'll talk to you soon.